All right, your RV sleep system. Your bivy, summer bag, winter bag, stuff sack. There's specific names for them, but the summer bag is the lighter weight one. It's a little darker color. These are the stuff sacks that you can compress the bag down into. And the cold weather one, the thicker one, is a lighter foliage, green, tan, whatever, gray color. They're both synthetic bags, so it falls under the man-made materials. They retain heat better when wet, as opposed to a down sleeping bag. Down's more compressible, gets really small, but it's also expensive, natural material, and synthetic's better for outfitting large groups of people. So, be a synthetic. The Army Cold Wet Intermediate bag, I think it's called, has a guide for temperature range on it at the foot of the bag. The patrol bag, otherwise known as the hot weather, warm weather sleeping bag, is designed for use down to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. The intermediate bag, this winter bag, the lighter one, is apparently good down to from 32 to 0. And then combined, you can survive. All these are the numbers to survive, not comfort, down to like negative 20 or something crazy. Something to think about whenever you're thinking temperature ranges for sleeping bags. People talk about this bag is good to 15 degrees. It's good to keep you alive. It's not going to be comfortable. For me, I sleep cold. I always had like a minimum of 15 degrees to the bag, but safe to stick around 10 degrees added to the bag. So this says good down to 32 degrees. If it's colder than 40 at night, I'm going to be using this bag. Like, this is probably a good 40 and up bag. You leave it open when it's really hot. Everybody knows that feeling. It sucks. You get a little bit of heat whenever you use the bivy sack, which is just the waterproof portion of the sleep system, which has these snaps and zipper, or the snaps that make it connect to these bags, which is something I'll show you in just a minute. But this helps trap heat a little bit. But biggest thing is it keeps you dry. It keeps the sleeping bag and the insulation dry. So you always want to use this. I would use it honestly anytime I'm sleeping on the ground. I'm going to use the bivy sack. Another thing that's going to be super important to use, and if you take nothing else in this video, take this. People call it sleeping pad, puss pad, whatever. In the warm weather, it's not super needed. If you're like sleeping in a patrol base or whatever, and it's warm, you're probably going to be fine with it. But as soon as the temperature starts to drop, you're going to want to use a sleeping bag or a sleeping pad. Excuse me. That is your insulation between you and the ground. That ground, the cold ground, whether you're sleeping on dirt or even on like pavement or stone or tile or something like that, you're going to suck heat right out of your body and you're going to get super cold. So if you use the sleeping pad, one, it's a little bit more comfortable, but that's less important than the heat retention part of it. So again, the ranges on these bags, at least the written on the tag ranges, this is from 0 to 32 degrees. This is what a lot of people call your cold weather bag, but as I'm going to show you in just a second, they can combine together to become part of the system to get you down to those really cold ranges. So I'm going to combine them now, but I'm not going to make you sit through it. All right, so all the system connected together. So the thing that sucks is the zipper is for the patrol bag is on the inside right here. It has these snaps, so it theoretically could combine with all of them. But if you're looking at how the hood feature is on the bag, it opens like this with the zipper on the left-hand side. Cold weather bag, however, its hood has the zipper on the right-hand side, all inside of the bivy cover, the wet weather bag. You can actually combine the bags. You can snap them in together like with these grommets here, or not grommets, snaps, whatever. Snap them all the way up the bag, and then that way the zipper, you can keep the bag more together and doesn't get all bunched up. All this on top of, again, a sleeping mat, your army sleeping mat, personal sleeping mat, whatever. They make different kinds of sleeping pads. This is like a open cell foam or something like that, where there's the ones that are just like straight up foam. That's closed cell foam. There's all kinds of ones that don't require you to inflate them. This one has, you can inflate it a little bit, and then they have the ones that are just straight up air where you inflate, and then they are a little bit thicker, a little bit squishier, but they're not as durable. Pros of the foam pad is there's no messing it up. Like, it's gonna just work because you don't have to inflate it. It can't get popped. The kind that we have, which is I think the open cell foam, where it's got a little bit of foam in there, but you can blow some air into it to make it a little thicker, more comfortable. Is they're a little bit bigger. They don't compress down as much, but they still work if they pop, and they have a little bit more of a like a little thicker for comfort than the inflatable ones. Pros are they're packed down super small and they're really comfortable. They got a lot of thickness to them, but the downside is if you catch a little branch or a little something cut in the sleeping pad, it's going to deflate. It's not going to do much for you. But there's another term people talk about when you're talking about sleeping pads is R value, which is all you got to think about is insulation value. There's some that are really high, some that have zero insulation value, and it has to do with how much of your body heat is trapped and reflected back up into you when you're sleeping. These, I don't know the exact R value on them. It's not that high, but it's not bad. It works for the what we got at least. Keep you warm. It'll keep you a lot warmer than sleeping straight on the ground. I recommend using it in the winter. I recommend using all 3 or 4 if you count the sleep pad as part of the system. Whenever it gets below, I call it 20 degrees, 10 degrees at night, you're definitely going to want to use all 3. You can get away with just the cold weather bag and the bivy, but it's not going to be fun. All right, so the Army sleep system. One final thing is public service announcement. You can wash your sleeping bags. So they get real grimy after a 2-week field problem or whatever. You can wash them. They're synthetic, so there's not like a lot of people get weird about washing down. That's when you're talking about natural down. Sometimes old style down would get all pumped up if you wash it and dry it improperly. Synthetic down is not as bad, but whenever you do dry it, you put it in the dryer. You want to throw like a couple tennis balls or even something like similar in there to help beat up the little clumps of insulation to keep them lofted, and that's what keeps the heat retained in the bag. So you can wash it. You don't have to run around with a sticky sleeping bag forever, but be careful. Just look it up or follow the instructions on the foot of the bag has a tag on it. So just follow those, and you'll be good to go.